So today we are talking about all things Zoom. I met this guy recently. His name is Kenneth. I've come to know him pretty well. Seems to be an all right person. Okay, really bad joke, right? Yes, I am your presenter today. Goodness gracious, help us all, right? So we're talking about everything related to Zoom. Zoom changes on a regular basis. I am not an expert. I am just someone who was forced to use it because of the pandemic, and I actually think it's a very good platform, and I learn as I go. I actually usually learn a couple things every time I do this seminar, class, workshop, whatever you want to call it. There hasn't been one session that I haven't had a question of, how do you do that? I don't know. Let's find out. So I hope today is the same. But let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Let me share the correct screen with you. That did not work out the way I intended. Okay. I have too many monitors plugged in at this point. Let's see. Move this one over here. Flip, share, and try that again. Like I said, I learn something new every day. I'm going to unplug all these monitors.
But
that one was
good.
fine?
Yes.
Oh. It looked like it was on my laptop screen. Okay. Well, we'll go with the flow. If you guys see the timer and everything, who cares, right? So, Zoom. Find you. I just lost Zoom. There we go. Okay. So you can see everything just fine?
I see a Zoom presentation, yes.
Okay. So basically, we're going to talk about a few buttons first. This is important before we jump into the rest of the presentation, because the mute button is pretty important. You never know what sounds are going to happen. Spouses walk in, dogs bark, cats jump on keyboards, all sorts of things happen. Trains go off. We've had some trains go off. So what I'm going to have you do after I stop sharing my screen is have you remember, make sure that you're muted. It looks like everybody already is. But the second most important screen is this start video button. So why is it important? Well, often we forget when there's a presentation going on that people can still see you. For those that have video on, if you decide to get up and start doing jumping jacks, or if you haven't fully dressed, like Mary Frances likes to remind us, she's in her bathing suit all the time. That's why our video's off. You want to make sure you're not showing the world. So the best way to do that is to start or stop your video, and then you don't have to share everything with the world. So those are the two most important buttons that you can learn today in Zoom, and I believe all of us know all about it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah, it's definitely sharing the wrong screen, so that's okay though. So you should see Zoom now. What I'd like you to do is look in the bottom of your screen. There should be, sometimes you have to move your mouse around, or if you're on an iPad or a phone, you have to touch. But go ahead and find that mute and unmute button. It should be in the bottom left corner on computers. You click. What did he say? Who knows? I muted. So muting, important. And then the other thing is starting and stopping your video. Now, those that stopped your video because you don't want to be on camera, please don't click this button. But when I do that, I actually have a background image. This is a profile picture that I uploaded. Normally, if you don't have anything, you can see that Gregory actually has a profile picture, David does. Normally, if you don't have a profile picture, you'll just see a name. So a bunch of us just, if you look around the screen here, it actually depends on your view, you should see names. Bob has a profile picture there as well. So that's a way to do your business without anybody seeing, right? So two very important buttons. Now, I think I'm gonna actually kill the second display because of what's going on. I'm just gonna work off Ooh, that's going to mess everything up. Never mind. Bad idea, Kenneth. We're just going to go with the flow. So today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the details related to Zoom. We're going to talk about more buttons. There are more than just 2 of them. A little bit about security. This is kind of a boring section, so I'll probably fly through it pretty quick. If you're really, really into it and you want to talk about it when we're done, by all means. We're going to talk about Zoom fatigue, different ways you can use Zoom. There's actually some Chrome OS updates. Chrome OS has been neglected, we shall say, in the Zoom world. Well, now it's becoming a first-class citizen, so we'll talk about that. Few Zoom secrets. For those that want to look good, you can actually make yourself look better depending on how you use Zoom, so we'll talk about that. And then there's some pro tips. If you're going to do hosting, hosting just means you started the meeting, you created the meeting. It's not well, it is special. You do have special abilities inside of Zoom, but I'll give you some tips for that. And then there's some resources. So if you want to pick out a neat background, a virtual background, or learn more about Zoom, I've got a bunch of resources I've been collecting, and I have links to those as well. So first things first, platforms supported. And here's one of the things I missed. Android, iOS, iPad OS, Linux, Mac, and Windows, everything. I forgot to put Chrome OS in there because that's actually now a supported platform. But basically, if it's a computing device or a computer of some sort, it's supported. Android is your Google phones, your Samsung phones, LG. iOS would be, well, actually iOS and iPad OS are your Apple devices. So if you have an Apple, you've got iOS. Linux, John knows all about that, John Kennedy. We've got Mac and Windows, which are just computers as well. But even if you don't have one of these, you can use Zoom inside of a web browser. I had to do this the other day. I didn't have Zoom installed. Zoom wanted all these privileges and access to things, and it said, well, in order to do that, I need to reboot Zoom. Well, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I can't reboot my computer. So I met inside of a web browser. When I did this before, when did I start using Zoom? 2020, early 2020, April. It wasn't the best experience. I have to say, it was pretty darn good. It was a lot better than what it used to be. It felt almost native. And I think that comes down to what they've done, some of the work they've done with Chrome OS. I think they learned a lot from that, and they've made the web browser experience that much better. But here's the reason why I think Zoom has become so popular. It's one of the platforms that doesn't require you to hand out your personal information. You don't have to give your name, your email address. You don't have to sign up for something. All you need is a Zoom link. As all of you probably know, you're on this call today. You click the link, you go into the meeting right away. It might ask you, what do you want to be called? But it doesn't really know who you are. You haven't actually signed up for anything. The exception to that rule is if you want to host a meeting. So if you do indeed want to host, you do need to sign up for an account. And it's can be free, or you may need to pay for it. It kind of depends on your situation, which I'll talk about here in just a second. In my experience, I have tried this on Chrome OS when it wasn't supported. I tried this on tablets, smartphones, and computers. I found the best experience on a PC or a Mac or Linux. Actually, all 3 of those are fine. When I say PC, I mean Windows or Linux. So that's my recommendation. And it's primarily because my eyes don't seem to be getting any better with age. They seem to be getting worse. So I like having a big screen in front of me to see things, especially for something like this. Jim's on this call on a phone, and goodness help him, because he's seeing all this text on that really small screen. Imagine viewing it that way. It's not the best experience. It works, but it's not the best experience. So my recommendation is find a computer, find the biggest screen you have, and use that for Zoom. As far as cost, it can be free, but there are limits. There's a 40-minute limit, and that starts after a third person joins. So if you were just meeting with one other person, you can meet for 24 hours straight. If you can do that, more power to you, but 24 hours is more time than I need. 3 or more, 40-minute limit. If you need to get past that 40-minute limit, you can pay for what's called a pro account. It's $14.99 a month, and that's per hosting account. So if you wanted to do this with the family, you could all share, of course, through a password manager, share the secure password and login information for that account, but it's per host per month. Now, I wouldn't recommend paying for it month to month. It's cheaper to actually, cheaper, I don't like that word. It's more cost effective to actually pay for the entire year up front. And since I like to save money, I also found a code. I signed up for a free Zoom account. I signed up for their newsletters, at least for a period of time. And then eventually they said, hey, if you try this Zoom Pro thing, we'll give you a discount. And the largest one I saw so far was 35% off, I believe it was. So sign up for their newsletter, see if they give you a discount. I honestly haven't seen anything in a long time. So maybe that was during the height of the pandemic, at least the first or second variant. But sign up for it anyway to see if you can get a code. Save as much money as you possibly can. But definitely, if you know you're going to keep it for at least a year, like we do with our club, sign up for the whole year, pay for the whole year, and you save money. So buttons. Buttons. There's lots of buttons, and you may or may not see these on your Zoom connection today. That's because what I'm showing you here are the buttons that a host or a co-host would see. Host is the one who started the meeting. A co-host is someone that the aforementioned host sets up as a, hey, can you help me out like Bob's doing with us today? I made him a co-host. He will see some of these buttons. The reason why you won't see him is security. Like, I don't want everyone in the room to be able to say, nope, we're going to unshare Kenneth's screen right now because I want to share my screen or whatever. Or no, I want to lock the meeting down. There's so many things you could do with that security button. But one that you do have is participants. And when you click this button, depending on how Zoom is set up, if you have it full screen, it'll show up in a different place. But the way I have it, it pops up on the right side and it shows all the participants with the hosts and the co-host at the top. When we record a meeting, you'll see a blinking red recording symbol. Anyone who virtually raises their hand, they pop up towards the top. You can do cues, nonverbal cues inside this participants window. So aside from seeing who's in there with you, I actually go in here to do things like, yes, thumbs up, thumbs down. When we're voting on things, we could, do a thumbs up instead of, well, you can't all speak at once. So you have to do something virtually. You can clap your hands, or you can say, hey, I need a break without interrupting, unmuting and saying, Kenneth, you're boring us to death. Can we take a break? Need some coffee? Or you can say if you're away from your keyboard. So if you're participating in this meeting and you may be asked a question, you may want to let them know, hey, I'm away from my keyboard. These options change from time to time, and this is actually something I haven't looked at recently, so we'll play with that and see what's there. But participants is a good place to start. Then you have chat. Now, depending on how the host set up the meeting, you may or may not be able to do certain things. Today, you have all the power. You can chat privately. You can chat with the entire group. You can share any sort of information that you want. You can attach files. So everything that you can do in chat is turned on, and that's on purpose. I want you guys to explore that. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, not just guys, but I want you guys to explore, I said it again, explore what you can do with chat. I have been using private chat even today when I asked Bob if he would help out. I did it a little different. I didn't click the chat button. I hovered over Bob's picture and I saw ... So remember this in just a second when we play. Hovered over Bob's picture. I saw the ellipses, the ... I click it and it said chat. And I knew that I was only chatting with Bob. Instead of fumbling through chat and finding one individual, I did it that way. So chat is pretty powerful. I will be sharing links with you today. We've done it in the past, but I don't know if you've tried this before. When I was doing a virtual music rehearsal, sometimes I'd have to share things like music that I arranged or that we didn't have access to in printed form. So I attached it as a PDF, and it's right there in the meeting. You just open it up and you're off to the races. So chat's pretty powerful. The other button you have is share screen. And of course, this depends on how the host sets it up. And I'll have to double check. I don't remember if I turned this on or not, but we'll see in a second. You have options under share screen. You can share your entire desktop, which is actually what I'm doing, or you can share just a specific app. Now, the reason why I chose share entire desktop was because this particular presentation software splits into 2 screens. And if I share the app and then I go view the app, it takes me into a different, it almost thinks like it's a different app, so it doesn't share it properly. So to be safe, I just said share my whole desktop, make sure it's there, and then move on. The other thing you could do is a whiteboard. This is pretty neat. It's just a virtual whiteboard. You can freehand draw anything you want on it. You can make lines. There's stamps. I actually, when I was doing a music session, we talked about the music staff when we put things on there, and it was pretty useful. But the other thing you could do is you can share, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can actually share that screen. Got to make sure I have my iPad here with me. If you're trying to help out someone and they have an iOS device and you want to show them, hey, let me show you what you're supposed to click. Through your computer, if you connect via computer, you'll remember I said the best experience is on a computer. So through my computer, I will be able to share my iPad screen, which is pretty handy. So there's another button inside the share screen button. You'll notice this on the mute, unmute button, the start and stop video button. It's that caret. And I don't know which screen you're seeing. So do you see my mouse cursor moving? Hopefully you do. I think I see a nod there.
I don't see it. I just see a advanced sharing option, on the screen. That's it.
Okay.
Mouse.
Well, I can't get my mouse over there. Okay. So on this screen, I'll describe where it is. Next to the share screen button, there's what's called a caret. It looks like a part of an arrow. It's sticking up. If you click the caret or arrow or whatever you want to call it, I don't care, you get additional options. Why is this important? Well, just today when I jumped on this call, I didn't have the right camera. I have my laptop camera over here, but I have a better camera attached to the monitor. I have a better microphone that I wanted to use. I needed to use my wireless headset for audio. So I had a very particular setup. When I click the caret, I can choose where I want to hear things, where I want people to hear me and also see me. So this caret button is pretty useful. Here under sharing, you're presented with options such as this. How many people can share at the same time? One or multiple. I always leave this at one. Who can share? This is that setting I was talking about earlier. Only the host or maybe everybody. And then who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? So you want to probably lock that down, but these are just options simply by clicking that caret. So explore. You can't do damage. Click, click, click away. The worst you can do is leave a meeting and, oh, well, if that happens, join the meeting again. So let's demonstrate that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and lost my presentation. Got to move things around. So you know where the mute and unmute button is, start and stop video. Does everyone see the participants button down there? If you haven't already, go ahead and open that up and you'll see either a pop-up window or you'll see something mounted off to the right-hand side. When you look at the participants window, you're going to see a red pulsating dot inside of a circle, another circle next to Everett's name. It actually might be next to my name as well. I wouldn't see that, but definitely by Everett's name, that means this session is being recorded. So even if you don't have the warning that the session is being recorded, I like having the participants window opened up so I can see for sure if something's going on. But this is also where I can hover over someone's name, like, let's see, there's David DeRoth. You're towards the top of the list. I can ask him, let's see, I can make him a co-host. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you'll notice David DeRoss' name popped up to the top of the participants list since he's now a co-host. I can also chat. Maybe I'm going to chat here with Greg. I hover over his name. I click the more button and choose chat. And oh, well, Greg, you're going to get my my chat thing early, but so be it, right? There you go. So lots of little things you can do inside a chat, or I'm sorry, inside participants. The next button, I actually do want, now let me check to make sure this is on. Okay, it is. I need a volunteer. All I need you to do is play with the share screen button. Now, you can do whichever option you want. Here's what happens when you click the green share screen button. You'll have a window pop up in front of you. I can't show you this because it doesn't share the Zoom screen. There you go. Thank you, somebody. So someone shared their desktop with me. It looks like Bob did. Thank you, Bob. So Bob clicked share screen and he said, share the desktop. And now we're looking at Bob. So if Bob were to, oh, Windows 11, perfect, right? If Bob were to open up anything at all, anything that he does on this screen, we can see. This is a great way to help out people remotely. Maybe you have your tech support for your family like I am. Well, let's join a Zoom session. I mean, it may not be the most effective way to do it, but Zoom allows you to do that. Oh, let's go into Word and I'll show you how you type up that document and how you use those styles. So it's a very handy feature. It's also how I have been sharing my screen with you today. So share screen is great. Now, I'm going to do something a little different unless somebody else beats me to the punch. When you click the share screen button, there's a bunch of options. Now, I'm going to pick whiteboard this time. So share. And now you should see a whiteboard, except I can't get the bar out of the way. There we go. So on this whiteboard, I can go ahead and, oh, that's pretty bad. I can go ahead and sign my name or try to. And as I said earlier, I can also put in lines. So here's a straight line. Maybe I'm doing a music theory class. Here's another straight line, another straight line. You can change the colors too, by the way. So maybe that lavender color is driving me nuts and I want black. So we'll do some black there. You can also do other types of lines. Let's see, we've got, I don't know what this one is actually. Let's see. Oh, that's the free flow, or draw whatever you want. There's also boxes. So if you don't have a steady hand like me, but most importantly, since we're here for a music theory class, right? There's a musical note for you. And then I might go back to that freehand. Well, let's do a thicker one since we haven't seen that yet, and say, this is a treble clef or a G clef. Well, that's not too bad. It's called a G clef because this is the G note, right? There's your music theory lesson of the day. So there's a lot you can do with it, like stamps. And this can be saved and shared with your participants. So if you have a whole session on a whiteboard and you want to share this with everyone, and I know you probably can't see this, but on the top right corner, I have a toolbar. On the right side of it, I have a save button. So I just saved it as a PNG. Then of course you can clear it if you want to. And my stop sharing is on another screen. And of course, stop sharing. So another great feature with screen share, if you're actually drawing stuff out. One really cool one, I have used this many times. I think Nancy, when we worked on your, what were we doing? We were trying to delete stuff. Was that you, Nancy? Delete stuff from the iPad to save space. You were running out of space or something like that.
Oh, that was a long time ago. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm going to do something similar. So on my iPad right now, I'm going into the AirPlay screen, which is actually easy to access. It's a swipe down from the top right corner, or if you have a phone, it's the right side of that where your camera stuff is. And then I go to screen mirroring, And what you're looking for is something called Zoom. So it says right here, I think you can see this on my screen, Zoom hyphen 60-inch MacBook Pro. So on my iPad, I picked the same thing, Zoom hyphen
We
60-inch
see just a
MacBook Pro.
blank screen.
Ah, okay. Thank you for telling me. So on my screen here, it tells me exactly how to share it.
That's better.
So there's my iPad. And anything I do on my, almost anything, let me rephrase that, I do on my iPad, you can see. For example, when we were talking about how do you free up space, goodness, where did we do that? We went into the settings screen somewhere, and then we found, I forget where it is, Nancy. Okay, forget that. Let's go into a different one. So if I go into YouTube, for example, I don't know what video I was watching. Oh, this was the Elementary OS one. Yeah, so there you go. YouTube says, nope, can't share YouTube. So it blocks me out of that. So that's what I meant by almost everything. If there's DRM protecting content, such as the MLB app, for example, Major League Baseball app doesn't let you share. It won't let you do it. But almost anything I do, for example, the kids at the university have me playing this game here. I could play a game with you if I wanted to, right? So there's the game. Boom, boom, boom. It's pretty neat. I use it mostly as a tool for doing tech support. But you could also teach courses, classes, anything you want. Pretty neat, isn't it? Any questions so far about that?
The sharing, there's also another option under advanced. I quite often, when I do my weekly security news roundup, I do that with a PowerPoint presentation. And there's an option to use your PowerPoint presentation. And then I use my screen recording, Screencast-O-Matic, and I'm actually doing a PowerPoint and recording it via Zoom through my Screencast-O-Matic. And that's how I produce the video. So there's all kinds of ways that Zoom can turn out to be a tool that makes using a different tool a whole lot easier to use.
That's a great way to put it. It
I got
enhances
one,
the other
Ken.
tools. Yeah, Ira?
On that first microphone, and you said there was something there that you could hit. Did you see a little red dot or something like that on the video or something? I didn't see any of that over here on my microphone.
It's not on your microphone.
Yeah, not the microphone. The microphone should have the caret.
I got a carrot there, yes.
Yep, if you click the caret, you'll
It says
see something.
microphone, same system, built-in audio,
Yep.
speaker,
Mhm.
leave computer audio settings, yeah, okay.
If
That's
you
what
play
you-
with that, you're liable to wind up with no audio or no way to communicate with us.
Yeah, I
Very
know.
true.
I'm just, okay, so that's what he was talking about. I was looking for a red dot there. Okay. So I see that video settings and it tells me what I am. I'm using an Asus USB 2.0 webcam.
That red dot is under participants, the caret under,
Participants.
right.
Oh, there. Well, so I don't have a red dot. I've got an arrow, up arrow.
Yeah, click that up arrow, that opens up participants.
Okay. And it says invite, that's what it says. Okay. I still don't see a red dot, but that's okay.
It'll be there somewhere. Zoom is about
Oh,
exploring.
it
Ira.
did. It opened it up. It opened it up. It opened it up. Just it took a few seconds, but it came up on the side.
Very good. So
Yeah.
Ira, I'm gonna give you a license to do what you may feel uncomfortable with. You ready?
What are you going to do now? I don't want you to do. Wait a minute.
Well, I'm not gonna put you on the spot,
I wanna get-
so don't worry about that.
I want to get rid of this thing over on the side. Where all the participants are.
Oh, if you
Where
click
it's-
the participants button, it'll go away, or there might be an X to close it out. You're on Linux, right?
There we go. Now it did it. It did. Okay, go ahead.
There you go. So here's your license to make a muck.
Muck?
What'd you say?
You said make a muck?
Yeah, to get in trouble is what I should
Okay.
have just said, right? Except you really can't get into much trouble. So the way I learned Zoom was and the way I've got a lot of my screenshots is I started a Zoom meeting with myself. As we know earlier, when you're in the same room as yourself, there's that, can you hear me? 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 Right? It's
Yeah, yeah.
echoing. So I learned how to turn that off. You have to make sure that the microphone's not picking out external audio. So right now, your audio is in my ear here.
Mhm.
There's no way my mic can pick it up. So I've protected myself there, and wired headphones actually work great. I just can't find my wired headphones, so I use these. What I did is I went into a meeting with myself. I think I may have actually started 3 sessions with myself because there's some things that don't show up when there's only 2 people. And I just played. So I would click buttons, I would change settings, I would just screw with it until I figured out what I was doing. And I never did any damage. It's always something that'll reset or that you can reset. The worst thing you could do is if you're in a real meeting and you're playing and you're the host, like I am right now, and you click that button on the right side. Right
Does it
now,
say
yours probably
leave?
says leave. Yeah. So
I know.
mine doesn't say leave, Ira. It says end.
Oh, that's the same thing. And
No, it's not.
Whoa.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Whoa.
No, if I click end, all of us leave.
Oh,
You have no choice.
because you're
No
the host.
choice.
You're the host.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm the host. Yes.
Right.
So when you click leave, don't do that. When you click leave, this is time not to play. Well, in a minute we'll play. You will leave the session and have to rejoin it, but the meeting doesn't end. So this is important to keep in mind. If you are the host or you've accepted hosting responsibility, make someone else the host first before you leave. And then the meeting can go on and on. Bob did this with your security thing. I can't remember which meeting it was. I'm pretty sure it was security, but
Because you left the meeting.
yeah, he needed to leave the meeting,
Right.
but he made someone the host. And
Right.
then the meeting went on and he came and checked in and I said, oh, you guys are still talking. So, well, I guess I'll hang out for a little bit. My point to all this is if you test this with yourself and you click, the worst you're going to do is in the meeting with yourself. So lesson learned, right? But it's the best time to play. Zoom is not a difficult app to use. It's just learning a new language, learning a new way around the room. And that's what you're here to do today is actually click buttons and see what happens. Because at this point, the worst you're going to do is share your screen. And as long as you don't have anything that's embarrassing on your screen, no harm, no foul, we're good. And if it is embarrassing, it's just entertainment for us. So, I mean, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
So those buttons below, your set will look a little different than what I've been showing, but I want you to explore it now. Reactions, for example, we haven't talked about that button yet. Do you guys see reactions
I see it.
towards? Yeah, go ahead and click that.
They're all that's got all the funny people on there.
Make a reaction. There you go. We got one from
Thumbs
Everett.
down, X, raise hand, all that.
Yeah, click something. You'll notice the reactions appear in 2 places.
Okay,
One,
I want to click thumbs up. Oh, I see it.
there you go.
Now, how does it get it? How do I get it back to that position? Just click that again.
To get rid of it?
It did.
Yes.
They got rid of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They do time out, I believe. So
Yeah.
like David DeRoth just raised his hand. He had popped up. Okay, great timing, David. Thank you. So David DeRoth raised his hand, which means as a host, he pops up to the far left and it says, hey, pay attention. I'm important. I'm sorry. This is your left. I have to remember I'm backward. So he popped up on the far left for me.
Mhm.
And I can now say, oh, David DeRoth, do you have a question? Now he might not have a question, but I'm going to go ahead and lower. He already lowered his hand. Very good. So reactions are great. It's a great way if you're in a meeting, you can say things like, yes, vote on things. Remember, only one person at a time typically can be heard. So if you're taking a vote, this is a better way to do it, either physically or going down to your reaction and saying maybe a thumbs up for, yes, I vote for that.
Mhm.
Reactions are great. Use them, play around with them.
What's the 3 dots?
Does it say more next to it?
Right. It says more next to it. If I do it, it don't do anything. You just quit.
So when I click it, Ira,
You do
I do
something.
have
You do a
extra
host.
things. Correct. Yes. Oh, wow. There's a devil face that David just did. I haven't seen that one before. I don't have that. I want the devil face. Oh, wait, there's a ... I see. Oh,
See the
okay.
dot there?
I told you I learned something in every session.
That
There's a ...
that's what I thought, 3
.
dots. And it
So-
won't do nothing for me.
You're on Linux, right? Yeah. Huh.
I'm on Linux. But
Yeah,
I
that
can
was,
it says download image always there. I can do that maybe.
I had
There you go.
Let's see what it does.
to find that, I had to click on the 3 dots and to see the additional options available.
Yep. Like I said, Zoom changes all the time. I can't keep up. So I just saw the USA flag. That was pretty neat.
Yep.
Okay, the X and the check mark is if you want to check mark something. The X is just, what does that do? Just take you out?
Depends on which window you have up.
I
The X
got
might close the
I
meeting.
got the reactions window up.
Yes. The X will close the reactions window.
Okay, and the check mark, oh, it says yes. It says yes, so if I hit the check mark, I mean it's a yes. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, it's getting interesting.
Yep. So since we're here doing this now, I want you to play with something. Next to your now, okay, I should start this out with no. What do you mean no, Ira? Just kidding. I know you're playing. I want to start this out with your computer has to have so much power to it. Basically, generally, it needs to be a quad core processor. You may or may not know if you have it or not,
No,
but
not mine.
if you don't, that's okay. This might be a good reason to throw some money in the economy, buy a new computer, right? No, don't do that. Okay,
not?
so next to the start and stop video button. So that's going to be on your left side around this area
I
here.
see it there.
You'll see the caret next
see
to
the
the
caret.
start stop video. Go ahead and click that.
Okay,
Now you're going to have different options.
so say
But-
video settings.
Yes, video settings is one of those.
Okay.
You're going to have different options.
Only got
One
two.
of the you have two?
I got Asus USB 2.0 webcam, Asus, and that's what it says.
Okay.
USB 2.0, and all I got is the settings.
Do you see
Check. The
choose
Asus
virtual?
is checked. So it's
Do
the
you
one that's
see
working.
Ira? Do you see choose virtual background?
No.
Okay. So right off the bat, that tells you probably don't have the quad core processor to do it. Some of you will see it, and you'll see Rich has the wonderful
Oh, look at that.
who's that artist? Rich. I know the name, it's at the tip of my tongue and I can't. Oh. Almost. No.
Julie.
Chihuly. I was thinking Chutelli, and I'm like, no, that's not it. Chihuly. Yes. So you can put any background image you want in there. You can even put videos like Bob has. So I'm going to actually do something that's pretty neat. As the host, I have the ability to highlight certain individuals. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight Bob right now.
Yeah.
And Bob has a video playing in the background. Is that I can't tell, is that computer generated or is that a real?
This was, I have, shoot. What I get my TV through, not a. I took a picture or a video from my computer, not my TV. Because once a month they change this little, what you're looking at. And this is just a 10-second video and it automatically repeats. And once a month I put something like this up on my YouTube channel. So, but that's all this is. This was taken directly off my TV. I have Dish, and Dish every month has a scenery that they present. And this is from the one they did in July, obviously. And I just happened to add the text to that video. Something I can do in Screencast-O-Matic.
There we go. So what I just did, by the way, as a host, I have the ability to highlight someone. I did this with a presentation. Who was it? Craig Wright did this from the Columbus Computer Society. He was with us and did Smart Mirror. And he would switch back and forth. And sometimes he would show off these little devices. They were too small to see. So I overwrote your settings. It's just temporary. You can change it to make Craig big like it did with Bob here. That makes big Bob, whoa, that makes Bob big on your screen so you can see him a little better, but I wanted to highlight what he was showing about. Yeah, there you go. So great little feature. It's called spotlighting. Now I have it as a host. I just turned it off. And what that's done is probably messed up your view. So we'll talk about views in a second. I've turned it off. It was so weird seeing myself big screen. Let me change my view back. It's a great feature to use if you want to show something on that screen with a particular person or show something small. But let's talk about views now. So in the top right corner of your screen, you're going to see a button about that area. It may or may not say view. Mine does, but it looks like a telephone pad, or it looks like a box with the 3 buttons that you would click.
Yes,
So you see it? Good.
yes.
So if you click that, my preferred view is called gallery view.
Yes.
So go ahead and switch between, I don't know what immersive is. That must be.
Okay,
new.
I'll switch. Do I have gallery view on there now?
Do you see Hollywood
see
Square
everybody.
style people?
I see a bunch of people now.
Good, good. That's my preferred view. I like gallery view or Brady Bunch. We're a little too big today for Brady Bunch, so we'll do Hollywood Squares. So I prefer that view. If you really are distracted by someone forgot to turn off their video and they're doing something that's funny and you need them to go away, you can actually hide them. But the other view is speaker view. So if you just wanted to see the active speaker, you go to view, speaker view, and then that person is full screen. Again, that's not my preference, but it's whatever you want. So I'm going to go back to gallery view.
Ken, the
Makes sense?
biggest problem with gallery view is if you're on a big group, you can't see everybody.
Yes, there is a limit. And actually, it's a bigger problem on smaller screens like tablets and phones. I think an iPad, for example, is only limited to 9. So you would already have too many. And then you're going to see an arrow on, depending on which screen you're on, the left and or the right, where you have to go back and forth between people. What Zoom will do is when someone speaks, it moves them to the first screen and it keeps moving them over. So eventually, if you're not talking, you'll pop off their screen after you've hit 10 people. Again, this is another reason why I prefer to use a computer. And even computers are limited. So if you don't have a computer that is quite powerful enough to manage it, I can do 49 participants on screen, which is great for our group, but not so great when APCUG does their sessions because there's 500 people on there. It's almost impossible. When you get into things like that where you're really big, you really want to have a co-host or multiple co-hosts so that you can watch when people don't know how to do the virtual hand raise. They can do this. Someone's watching the other screens and say, oh, Ken Bixler has a question. Ken, shut up so he can talk, right? Having, I guess I'm appending to my answer before, not just a computer to use Zoom, but probably the most powerful or one of the more powerful computers you have, you can start to fill up that screen with 49 participants. So thank you, John, for bringing that up. That's a very, very good point. We talked about a lot right now. I want to just pause and ask, do we have any questions so far? Or are you ready to go on?
There's a question on who can see your messages when recording is on. And that depends on who you direct them to, correct?
Well,
if it's a
I
private
think,
message, it's only the person that you send it to, nobody else. It doesn't show up in there except to the person you message. If it's to everyone, then it'll show up on that list. And when you copy that chat at the end, you're only going to get the ones that are public to everybody.
so no, Bob,
okay.
I heard you say when the recording is on. Was that in the question?
Yeah, that was in the question.
Okay, so I think I know the answer, but John
There are
Kennedy,
none, there are actually none that are in the recording.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Correct. Recording only has that screen, the main screen, and your chat is popped out to the side. It is not recorded. You can save it, but you can't, it's not part of the recording.
So that may be why I can't get somebody that, I see that message is on there and I go to try to copy them and it won't let me copy them. That's because that message was specific to that guy there only. Whoever he was talking to, the host. was
You'll
talking
never see that message on there.
to.
The
Okay.
only messages you'll see are the ones specific to everyone or to you specific.
Okay,
Certain versions of Zoom on Linux,
Yeah,
they work different. They don't
Yep.
let you click save chat. We've run into this before, Ira. It's not your fault. It's just the way it behaves. That's where we were saying somebody will send it to you, or you can copy and paste all the text. But I hope that save chat feature. Ken Pixler, do you have, what version of Linux are you running right now? And do you have the option to save chat now?
I have the option to save file or save chat on my version of Zoom.
Very good. So Ira, I'm wondering what version you're on right now. Maybe you need to update Zoom.
I don't know what it is. What is it? It was 5.5.4 or something like that. I was looking at it this morning, but I didn't download the new one yet.
Yeah, it's 5.7.4.
Well, I'm down to. I was.
Mary Frances, you had a question?
5. Whatever it was.
No, no, I clicked on raise your hand accidentally.
No, it's not accidentally. You were told to. You followed the rules. Play was the response. Oh, David DeRoth. I'm sorry. See, this is why you need help. David DeRoth actually has his hand up too. So, David, what did you have to say?
Well, I had a chance to visit with my grandson out in California for his birthday in May. And the kids I was there, he completed the first grade. So we went through the whole first grade doing virtual schooling from home. And as I understand it, they were using Zoom. So when the day's session was going to start, the kids had to sign in with a PIN number. And then when they would normally be muted, of course, during the session, except when the teacher would call on them, and then they had to unmute. To do that, they just tapped their touchpad. So I'm just kind of wondering whether this was a special configuration for the school, or whether maybe Zoom even has a special version for schools to use. Have you heard anything about that? Or
Well, there could have been multiple things they did. I can't remember if it's this group or not. When everyone joined
Ken?
today, do you remember if you were automatically muted? I think we have that turned on. So there's a setting in Zoom, and a lot of these settings are buried on zoom.us, where you can say when a person joins the meeting, automatically mute them. It sounds like it's that because it allows them to unmute to ask the questions. Another setting is mute them and don't allow them to talk at all. Now, John Kennedy actually does this more than I do. So APCUG, I know that you're muted and I don't believe you can unmute yourself, but John, are you able to unmute them? Is that what it is?
No, I can just turn on the option for them to be able to unmute themselves.
Okay.
It
So I
wasn't-
guess it could have been 3 different ways.
Yeah.
The
Well,
last-
the other thing too is I think you're referring to the shortcuts of space bar to turn on and off mics and the keyboard shortcut Alt A.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. You can hit and I think by default, you can just push the space bar, which is what I'm doing now, to talk. It's like push to talk. And when you get done, just release it.
Yep.
There was also an update, the last update that was specific to things like the teachers and classrooms. That's part of the last update, which came out a couple of days ago.
I
Sound
just
like I'm a
discovered
week
something.
behind.
I just discovered
ahead.
something. If I touch my space bar, the video stops And if I touch it again, my video starts.
Huh. It's the
That's
first
not
I've
supposed to
seen that.
be the, oh, the touch pad or the space bar.
I'm using a regular desktop system, so I'm using a regular keyboard.
Yeah, because it's Alt V is that. There's no, thing should be for turning off your video with the space bar because that's coded to microphone.
It's supposed to be, at least.
Yeah, it's not working that way on my computer. When I touch the space bar, it's stopping and starting video.
It's not a
It's-
bug, it's a feature.
It's mapped to the wrong function there, David.
Yeah.
There's probably some settings that will change that.
Yeah,
David, look under when you click the caret, the half arrow next to video settings. Take a look under video settings.
okay.
And actually, we can all do this because this is a good segue into. We were going to talk about virtual backgrounds, and I got sidetracked, but that's okay. We're having fun, right? So
Hold
under
on.
video settings, there might be a key mapping in there that's doing it. But virtual backgrounds are pretty neat. I actually am
Kenneth,
using a
Can
virtual.
you hear me,
Yep.
Kenneth?
Yes.
I've lost my screen here somewhere. I did something up here and it says, I'm on the screen that says Zoom, it says launch, it says your meeting has been launched.
Yeah, Ira, go down to your taskbar and you should be able to see two different browser windows, and one of them is it's the other one that has all of us on it.
Okay. Okay, launch bar. Okay. You mean at the top?
No, your Ubuntu bar.
Okay. It says John. Have issues with Zoom. The bar on the, okay, I see what
Where
you're saying. Yeah, I see
you-
what you mean.
Yeah,
Or
because
Zoom
you've
is.
got technically you've got two different windows open.
Yeah, I do.
So you
yeah,
have to
I'm-
click the other one.
I did. Okay, I'm in.
There we go.
Oh,
So now you can play, right? You can click the caret and do video settings. Although sometimes we might lose the screen, maybe we don't. No, I want you to play, Ira. I want you to click around. So
Mm.
under video settings, there's what we were talking about earlier was backgrounds, virtual backgrounds. So I actually have a virtual background on. This is not my house. I wish it was my house. It is pretty nice. But it's not my house. So I can fake
okay, I'm
put
under
anything in I want.
I'm under the virtual settings.
Oh, well, you won't be able to do this, Ira.
Oh, thank you.
You won't have virtual backgrounds. Yeah. So let's go to it. For those that do have it under video settings, you'll see backgrounds and filters. So right now I'm going to change my background. I'm going to change it to a video. So this is one of the things I believe was built into Zoom. You can also upload your own videos. Here's another one, comic book themed, right? Maybe I'm in space for some reason. This one's kind of neat. I can blur the background. So as you can see, I have a green screen back there and a few other things going on. I don't have to put on a virtual background. I could just blur it. Or maybe I'm changing my room up. So virtual backgrounds are pretty neat. But I think this is a little more exciting. So video filters,
Oh my gosh, look at those glasses.
I mean, mask appropriate, right? What type of mask is that? Here's the great thing about this mask. I can drink through it.
Sure, I guess.
Right.
That's neat.
So there's all sorts of things you can do. Wow, that one's interesting. Including now I don't know if this is going to work. You know how it works with demos, right? I kind of like this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there's actually a plugin. Now tell me if you've heard this one, but Snap Camera. Have you heard? Yeah, Bob has, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and open Snap Camera. That worked out not so great. Like I said, it may not work, but let me go ahead and find the app. Skip this version. We're not doing that. All I want to do is show you a filter. So
David is using one.
thank you. There you go. So there's a filter. Apparently well, you can't see it with the hat, so let me turn that off. Hang on. Filters, none. So I've got my devil ears and all that going on. There's a bunch of things in here.
Not only your
Oops,
devil
that was a
ears, your
mistake.
face went red.
Yeah. This one doesn't work apparently. Someone just started sharing their, there you go. That was great. So there's all sorts of filters that you can put on. There's a really funny one. Oh man. What's that video?
I did the one on fishing where I used the fish, and then I used another program that changes your voice so that I had a little squeaky voice when I did it. That was a lot of fun.
Well, it can get you, the fun can get you into trouble.
It can.
That actually happened with a person. So I'm going to show you this video. So I'm going to share a video with you. Hang on.
Oh, is it that attorney?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Don't forget the sheer sound.
Uh-huh. So you should be able to see this. And let's go ahead and play it.
We're trying to, can you hear me, Judge? I did not know that Zoom could turn me into a cat, and I did not know that a cat Zoom could turn me into an internet celebrity, but it all happened in just a matter of hours.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
We're
a look.
trying to, can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It
in the-
is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that.
Got on the Zoom, everything seemed fine. When my picture popped up, I was in the waiting room with the judge. When the judge called the case, I disappeared and a cat appeared instead of me.
So you can have fun, but try not to have too much fun, right?
Right.
I mean, as long as you know he's not a cat, right? I think that's the funniest one. I'm not a cat. Yeah, we can see that. It was so fun. Anyway.
Well, anyway,
If he was, it'd be a miracle.
back to
Yes,
this
sir.
this keypad or your key shortcut. I did not find the space thing in audio settings, but I went to the video settings. Well, let me do it here again. And there's an audio tab in video settings. And in there, wait a minute, in there, down at the bottom of that panel, there's a check bar that says press and hold space key to temporarily unmute yourself. So it's in the video settings thingy, not in the audio settings where you would expect it to be. So that's where you can find that.
I also found something else. Let me see if you can see this. Can you see this Zoom window here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's keyboard shortcuts as one of the options under settings. And it could be under here.
No, it's not under there. I tried that.
Okay.
There was, and I even tried it in the video settings, and it same thing. You have to go to the video or the audio tab in video settings.
They don't have an audio tab in video settings.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't either. I have an
So,
advanced tab.
If you go to the settings on the left-hand side of that pane,
Right
there's
here.
an audio selection.
Oh, I see.
And then at the bottom of that
Ah, see
is
it?
your selection.
Very good find. There it is. Yeah. So David, that might
Cuckoo.
be where the problem is.
Yeah, okay. Let's see.
You uncheck that box, it should go back to its default setting, right? Of space bar is mute and unmute.
Well, you need to have that turned on in order for the space bar to mute and unmute your audio.
Right. It might be turned off.
Oh, I disabled that. Okay, yeah, now my space bar is muting and unmuting. Okay,
Except we're hearing you.
yeah,
We're part of the way there. we're getting closer, little by little. All right.
okay, so
Okay.
it's not doing anything. Correct, yeah, I correct myself. It's not doing anything.
You may have to restart Zoom in order for that change to take place.
Yep.
Yeah.
So after we finish, start Zoom again and test it on your own. But you probably have to restart Zoom for that change to take effect.
Yeah,
Mary Frances, yes, I saw your questions. Nancy, this is a really good point. If you ever want to see how many participants are in the meeting, we've been losing a few here and there. Apparently I bored them to death. Right now there's 16. So you can see actually how many people were in the meeting if you want to take that for the meeting notes. It was more. I don't know how many more, but good point.
There was a total of 19 at the maximum that I saw. So that's
There we
not
go.
too bad. That's good showing.
Pretty good, yes. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. We've only got about 9 minutes left. I'm going to rush through some of these screens, so bear with me. I do want you guys to keep asking questions. You've asked a lot of good questions. So security is important, but I'm just going to highlight this. There's a lot of things you can do to protect yourself from things like Zoom bombing. Think of Zoom bombing as like photo bombing. Someone gives you bunny ears behind your picture when you're trying to take a good picture. Zoom bombing is something similar. It actually can be dangerous. There was a university, Capital University, had a Zoom bomber join and started yelling. I read the article a year ago, but they were yelling profanities, and I've heard of people sharing pornography in it and things like that. Stuff you don't want to see. So security is important. You want to make sure you do a few things to protect yourself. One, use a unique meeting ID. Every time you create a new meeting, you have the option of using your personal ID or a randomly generated ID. Think of your personal ID as your personal telephone number. It never goes away. Yes, you can change it, but in general, we don't want to use it. So the meeting today, we generated a random ID. It's different than the Apple help desk. It's different than, well, the Linux is using Jitsi. So we have a few meetings that are in there and they're all different. You absolutely want to use a password. As a matter of fact, if you're on a free account, you have no choice. You have to use a password. It's just in there by default. I've seen this a lot at the APCUG meetings. Waiting rooms are great. You can control who actually comes into your meeting before they get there. Think of it like how you go to the doctor's office. You don't just barge in and say, hey, doc, I'm ready. Did you sign in? Did you wait for us to call? Did you wait for a room? Yeah, that's not how it works. You have to wait. So consider using the waiting room, and definitely remove attendees if they're causing trouble. Now, just removing an attendee doesn't protect you completely. You'd want to lock the meeting. So here on this screenshot, you'll see on the right, under security, I can remove a participant, but then I want to make sure I lock the meeting. It's kind of like going to the opera or something. When you get to the door and it's already started, they say, sorry, we can't let you in. It'll ruin the ambiance. It'll ruin it's not the ambiance. You know what I'm saying? It's ruining what is going on. They'll see the light from the door. We're not letting you in. You have to wait. Sort of the same thing. And then the other option you can use is sign in required. Now that does make your meeting a little more challenging to get into, but it's great for schools. If they're only, if you know, X number of people are supposed to be there and it has to be those people, you can require the sign in option. So this is the article. I'm going to put it in chat that you can read about what happened to Capital University. It was embarrassing. They had to reschedule it, but it was very disruptive. So that's a Zoom bomber incident. We already
And
talked about, yep.
I said there's another option that if you remove somebody, they can't come back in.
Oh, good to know.
We use that option. Monday, we reuse the same link each Monday for Tech for Seniors. But it's set up that number one, you come in through through the waiting room, which is now a requirement anyway from Zoom. Everybody comes in through the waiting room. So you kind of control and recognize who's coming in. If it's something strange, you need to identify them before you actually get them into the meeting. And if they have gotten into the meeting and they start their shenanigans, you boot them, and our settings say, once you got booted, you're never coming back. That's it, finished.
Good to know. Good. I did not know. See, I told you.
That's one of the extended settings.
Very good. So this is the waiting room option in two different places. You can turn it on before you start the meeting or after. The one on the left is enabling the waiting room after the meeting's already started. And this is this is actually something we use here. We do allow people to join before the host so that you can have that time to socialize. Once I join, it's fine, but I can't always get here right at 2 o'clock, just like today. So lots of different settings. This is what, David, we were talking about earlier, mute participants upon entry. Here's the lock meeting button. And then we already saw this one earlier. I was just going into a little more detail, which is not necessary right now. But the bottom line is these are Kenneth's rule of thumb for Zoom. Don't publish your connection information publicly. Only give it to the individuals that you want to be there. So like we do in our email to you guys, here's the link to the meeting. We don't put that on the website. We don't put it in the newsletter because we want only our membership to be in there and guests and friends of the EcoTuck. Don't use your personal meeting ID. I think the password requirement is now required. So as a pro account, you may be able to turn it off, but it's just a good idea to leave it on. Consider the waiting room and some of these other options. But I think once you have the meeting started, it's really important to ask participants to identify themselves. I know they do this at APCUG. Hey, iPhone 11, could you please tell us who you are? And then once we know who they are, you can, as a host or co-host, rename them, or you can actually rename yourself by hovering over your photo, clicking the ... and clicking rename. So Zoom fatigue is real. It's less of a problem now that we're not Zooming so much, but back during the height of Zoom, it was very easy to fall asleep. So what do? You turn off your video, also turn off your audio. So if you snore when you sleep, yeah, you won't be caught. But it's really important to take breaks, not just between the meetings, but from digital screens. And maybe if you have a 2-hour-long meeting like we had with the chorus, it was an hour and a half, we switched it to an hour. An hour was about the max we could do before things got boring. So there's all sorts of ways to avoid Zoom fatigue. But this is what's new. Chrome OS was not getting any love from Zoom. And there's, a lot of things they have to do, patch security holes and whatnot. But Chrome OS is based on Linux, and there were workarounds to get it working. But now, Zoom is actually supporting Chrome through Progressive Web Apps, which is just a web-based technology that makes the experience native to the desktop environment. It's as if you installed a program on your computer. And the way it was working before was through a web browser. And as I said, goodness, it was like a year ago. I think it was actually August when I tried this. Using it through the web browser, we couldn't do certain things like sharing, or we couldn't highlight somebody. Now that's all changing. I found a few articles that I can share with you. It's actually here. Obviously, it'll be on the video. It's a little long, but I'll put those in chat. Just remind me. What I wanted to do was share a search tip with you. So since I'm not sure, I should see a green. Do you see this window moving around on your screen?
I see your Chrome OS updates thingy.
Ah, thank you. That's what I need to know. I'll move it over here. Okay, I wanted to show you a little trick. So go to your favorite search engine. I'm just using DuckDuckGo right now, but Google, Yahoo, any search, almost any search engine should be able to do this. And what I've done is anytime I need to learn something related to Zoom, I want to only find articles from Zoom. It's not zoom.com, zoom.us. So here's a little trick. In the search dialog box, type this, site, S-I-T-E : and then the site name. No HTTPS, no HTTP, just like this, site : zoom.us. Followed by your search term. Now you do need a space between it, but let's say hosting a meeting is what I want to learn about. I'm only looking for articles related to Zoom hosting a meeting from zoom.us. So when I do this search, you'll have some ads, but after that, here's an article on Zoom meetings. Here's how do I host an instant meeting. These are all from zoom.us. It might be support.zoom.us, but they're all zoom.us. The reason why I wanted to share this with you is this is how I found these two Chrome articles. So I actually was looking for iPad controls earlier today. Here's the different control articles I found. But right here are the two articles on Chrome OS. So again, that search term is, oh, I don't like the way that looks. Let's go back. Site : I was going to do a different example, apple.com, restore an iPhone. It works for almost any site as long as you use the site : that right there. And as you see, after you get past the ads, restore your iPhone, iPad, or iPod to factory settings. So I wanted to show you that trick because a lot of the questions that you have about Zoom can be answered simply by doing a search. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Let me look at we're at 4:30. So let me look at anything that we've missed. Ways to use Zoom. Basically, you can use Zoom for almost anything. You could do events, workshops, training, social get-togethers. We did a birthday party over Zoom when we all were not allowed to be together. Healthcare visits, you can see your doctor. Business meetings, we do it all the time. Book clubs, even music. Remember, if you're doing anything that requires multiple people talking at the same time, or in this case, singing at the same time, it doesn't quite work that way. So you have to get creative, but we were still able to meet. Chorus was still able to meet. It wasn't ideal, but we were still able to meet through Zoom. So there's many, many, many things you can do with Zoom. Just be open-minded about what those are. We talked about pinning video, and we talked about screen. I'm sorry, I can't say it. Spotlight video. The other thing I wanted to share with you, and you're welcome to cut off if you have to. I only have 2 more things to share with you, is looking good on Zoom. So I'm going to show you a picture of what I mean. So this slide right here, you can see that the picture on the left isn't quite as nice as the picture on the right, and there's a reason for that. She has better lighting. The camera now is angled from top down. So my camera in particular is actually above eye level. I have to look up. It's better that way. You don't see up people's noses. You don't see double chins. Eye contact is super important. Remember, you might want to naturally look at the screen, but looking at the camera means you're actually giving eye contact to people on the other end. I don't really have a preference either way. I typically look at the screen when I talk to everybody, but if you're actually in an interview or something like that, it's better to look into the actual camera. Then there's the head and shoulders rule. So you don't need to show everything, just show what's important. Think about how you're framed in that picture. And the only way to make this perfect is to practice, practice, practice. You have to just try stuff, see how it works. Even today, I was playing around with my lighting, trying to get something. I was really trying to get it to look better and couldn't figure out why it looked so bad. I turned off the overhead light, so that made a big difference. Sun is a great natural light source. So if you can face the window, that is a wonderful way to have just diffuse light. You don't want something flashing in your face real bright, but lighting is everything, and what you have going on is everything. Background noise is important. And hand gestures, I use them a lot, but you know, it's probably best if you don't. I don't follow that rule, so do with it as you see fit. We're going to skip this, but I wanted to show you that there are resources out there to learn how to use Zoom. I'll put a few of them in the chat. If there's anything on this list that you'd like me, well, you know what? I'll just put them all in chat to save time. Don't forget to save your chat. So let me stop sharing and get back to Zoom. I want to show you what a difference lighting makes. So I'm going to spotlight myself for a second. So I have a light on right now, and then I don't. So it's okay, but that's actually a little washed out. So now I have to play with the settings a little bit to make it better. I also have a microphone plugged in here. If I were to change to a different microphone, you would notice a huge difference. Well, probably. So let's do, so I'm going to click that. Probably notice a difference in the sound quality, right?
Yep. Yep.
This is a professional, what I was using before was a professional grade microphone. And then I have my AirPods, which they are not too bad. So here's what the AirPods sound like. They might be better than the computer mic. They're probably about the same. But the best experience I have is with the Samsung Pro mic. It's just a better sound quality. Also, what you wear is important. So I intentionally picked out a darker color shirt to frame my head and to frame what's behind me. You can actually see how the virtual background's breaking up a little bit between my fingers. That's how you can tell if somebody has a virtual background. And then again, eye contact, the camera's right there. So really what I should be doing is looking at the camera. I'm not in the habit of doing that and actually displaying it there. Most importantly, there's a touch-up feature. So inside of the video settings, so if you go to the start stop video and you click the caret, you'll see video settings. And one of those options, if your computer supports it, oh, well, maybe it's not there anymore. Oh yeah, there it is touch up your appearance. It's like virtual makeup.
No way can they touch it up enough.
I know, right? I'm trying to get rid of those wrinkles right there, but it doesn't quite work as well as I'd hope. So I realized I rushed through that pretty quick. I am here as long as you'd like to talk, but I will stop talking and say, what questions do you have? Oh, one other thing, mute when you're not speaking. So watch this.
Well, I think I'm going to leave.
Okay. I bored Ira to death. See you, Ira.
No, you didn't bore me. I got to get Zoom back to where it's supposed to be.
Gotcha.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
See you later. Oh, yeah, I was going to put the links in there. So there's the Capital University links. And here's all the other links for those resources. Sorry to drop them so quickly on you, but at least you'll have it. Don't forget to save your chat. And remember that search tip. That's really the best way to find out how to use Zoom. It changes constantly. So some of these articles could be out of date. I haven't read them in a while. But there's a great one for virtual backgrounds. I think this was a Williams Sonoma virtual background that they gave us for free. So
I put a little lamp that's got one of those circular things, and it's got a clip. So you just clip it on wherever it's convenient. And of course, with it on, you see this. But It's off and then it's on. Big difference. So yeah, lighting, like you said, makes a big difference.
Yep. No questions? Oh, there we go. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir. It's muted now, working.
I'm not seeing the option for for saving a chat session. Where is that?
So in the chat window, you'll see where you would type the chat. You'll see either a person's name if you've been chatting with someone or everyone. To the right of that, you'll see you should see three icons. There's a dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
Just good. Click that and you'll say, you should see save chat.
I must have clicked on the wrong three dots. Okay.
Do you have your chat window open?
Yeah.
Okay. Bottom right. That's the
Bottom
last
right,
button.
okay. Yeah.
Dot, dot, dot. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Do you
Okay, I
see
see it
save
now.
chat?
I see it now. Okay.
Very good.
Thanks.
One other thing too that I discovered in doing my duties is to force people to have close to the newest version, because you can go into settings as the owner and determine that they can't have anything older than. And so right now, you know, I've got it set so nobody can be anything older than like a 5. And if they are, then they have to go and update for sure, and they'll get the newest one. But that's the biggest problem I've found over the times that we've done things, is that people don't have things because they are still running older versions.
That's a great tip. Where did you do that, in the website?
Yeah, go to the website and go to your, like, it's in your advanced settings for the admin or owner.
I'm going to look for it right now.
Yeah, it's at the very bottom, and you have it's really nice because you can even set it up for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and say these users cannot use a version of Zoom older than this. And I found out that we were allowing people to have older ones. So I said, nope, not anymore.
Very good tip. Okay. Any other questions?
If you have the Zoom app, if it's older than a certain amount, it won't work anymore at all, because Zoom, after it did its major updates, restricts you to using at least a certain version. It's still pretty old, but it has to at least have the security features that it strictly enforces.
And there's a lot of settings in this, so
you could probably spend 3 hours just going through settings.
So here's settings. Here's where it starts.
Yeah, and those are settings that anybody who has control for creating Zoom.
Yep.
But only the admin has the second set of options that are on the left-hand side.
This part.
Right. Yeah. You have to be an admin. You can't be a member.
Yep.
Members can change the settings for workshops and webinars that they can set up, but only the admin or owner can make the big changes.
Yep. And that's why settings is there's so much. You've got, as the admin, as you said, you've got your general settings, but then there's all this stuff, which I really haven't dug into. Here's some
I hadn't
advanced
either, but
admin.
I've been checking into that.
Branding. Yeah, I've seen some of this before. So lots of good stuff. Did you learn anything?
Sure, we all did.
That's the goal.
You can't come to a meeting without.
Even I
If you
did.
didn't learn something, you weren't paying any attention at all.
Nancy, yes, I want to hear your questions. What did we miss?
No, you don't.
What? I'm going through chat right now. So just so we know, for the record, Mary Frances has a new bikini. That's good to know. Thank you, Mary Frances. David DeRoth, yes, the security button you only see as a host or a co-host.
Yep.
You should actually see it since you're a co-host now. Do you see it?
Yes.
Doesn't look like we missed much in chat.
Mhm.
Very good. Nancy learned a lot. Thank goodness. You hurt my feelings, Nancy. I'm kidding.
It's called the brain. Very good, Kenneth. It was really, really very good. But I
I'm
just
glad.
don't get it all. And
Yeah,
I'm not
I had to
hosting a
rush.
meeting.
I had to rush a little bit to get through things, but I did like that we had more time for questions. We kind of just went off on a tangent for a while. I like that a lot, which meant we skipped through a bunch of those slides and presentations. So I kind of need to make this a 2-hour thing, or I've already cut it down. That's the thing. I've cut it down and it's still running long. Oh, well.
The other thing is, did you or Everett, since you the two folk that's always there, see that we had new people? Because everybody that I saw were people that's been using Zoom, so they learned more, but we've still got a lot of people who aren't joining us because they don't know how to Zoom, and Zoom is too easy.
Yeah, I wanted to do this meeting in person to hopefully fix that, but timing. Mary Frances?
It just needs to be said over and over and over. Thank you so much. All of you know who you are, that give us so much of your time, your attention, your valued intelligence and information. And I, for one, just have to express my appreciation over and over and over. Thank you.
Mary Frances, did that extra 12 hours I sent you help?
You're a wizard.
I can export this to a PDF. Would you guys like a copy of it? I wasn't looking at the screen. Were there nods? Yes, there's nods. Okay. Let me see if it's too big. I don't know that the presentation really gives you the, oh, it's getting smaller. That's a good problem to have. Let me just make sure it's correct. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, I'm going to try the file thing to put it in chat. This doesn't always work for everybody, but you know, we're here to play, right?
Mhm.
And it's going to be in PDF format, so you should be able to read it on any computer. It is big-ish for file, 10.2 megabytes, but should be okay. It's uploading now. Oh, darn it, Nancy. I just gave it to you.
Mhm, mhm.
Let's try that again, shall
You
we?
can take that right back.
One more time.
Yeah, Ken, another thing too, in relationship to, I think something that Ira brought out earlier, that there was a misreading, that in the chat box right now, it says, who can see your messages, ? And then it says recording on.
Okay.
Because are you still recording?
Yes, we are. Yep.
So that's the, in the chat box is a second thing. It says the recording is on, not who can see your messages when the recording is on. Two separate sentences.
Gotcha. But it was a good question combined too. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Complaints? We take complaints too. I may not listen to them, but I'll take them.
Well, maybe in order for us to not fall asleep before we end the meeting, this might be a good place to end the meeting.
Yes. I'll wait till you stop the recording. See you guys later.
Okay.